What is going on, everybody? It is episode 417 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I thought that we might be accompanied by some club music playing from downstairs, but now I can't hear it, so maybe they had consideration for our viewers, decided to stop.
It sounds like it's gone
It's always
away.
a party.
Yeah,
here.
it sounds like the music downstairs has in fact gone away.
Anyway, we just live in such uncertain times, guys. I guess that the government is holding its first UFO congressional hearing tomorrow. And
Wait, that's not what it was last week?
I guess not. And
nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares.
Elon posted a picture of himself wearing a shirt that says, "I heart Canada." Take a look for yourself to see. He was wearing a blazer that made it look like it was a different word, which I will not get clips saying.
Don't do it.
I guess we can just use Canada as a code word for butt sex on the show now.
Let's we can do that, I guess. We've already got our own slur for Canadians, so
yeah.
We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of Elon Musk, Kanye West, or Ye, has been reinstated to Twitter because I refuse to call it X. This, of course, 8 months after he was banned, after they gave him the ban hammer for slurs and what they called an incitement to violence. We'll have a discussion on whether those tweets actually added up to an incitement to violence. I've added a poll today, ladies and gentlemen. I asked everybody, I said, did Kanye West, was his ban justified, or was the unban justified? The choices are, yep, free speech is free speech, or no, leave him banned.
What kind of response did you think you were going to get from our audience?
I have no idea.
Do you think that there are pro-censorship people in our audience?
Well, it's 99%.
Genuinely?
It's 99%.
Well,
so.
I'm the 1%, just because it's a principle of the matter that I am going to be the contrarian. And maybe Twitter isn't the best thing for Kanye, but we'll get into it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have to wait and see. So we'll see what people say. We'll leave that one to the end of the first segment. Hold on 1 second here.
Is the sound okay?
Just double check to make sure that mine is all right there. Let's if it is, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just gonna go with it. It's fine. All right, so we're not just gonna talk about that. Andrew Tate had his interview with Candace Owens. A lot of things were discussed. She grilled him on his the accusations of the charges against him, as well as the resurfaced videos. So we will talk about that. I imagine Mary has a lot to say on that one. We'll discuss that. We're also going to talk about the fall of Haunted Mansion in Disney, and Justin Simien, the director, who was just ousted from his role as the director and showrunner of Lando. He's got some interesting comments, some interesting concerns about it. We'll talk about it. He brings up that he might be too black and too queer for Disney.
He hearts Canada.
Yes.
Too much for Disney.
Yes, so we'll talk about that. Also, Cardi B has been on a mic throwing spree lately. So if you're at a Cardi B concert, I recommend wearing a hockey helmet, ladies.
She could at least get one with a cord and wield it like a lasso, so she can hit multiple people at once.
And bring it back.
Yeah. Just like. Yeehaw!
I like the idea, or no, like maybe like Spider-Man, where like she can throw it and it and pulls it back, kind of like Scorpion.
It's retractable. Yeah,
like Scorpion in Mortal Kombat. That'd be cool. So we'll talk about that because obviously, as you know, if you've watched shows like ours or you follow pop culture music at all, artists getting stuff thrown at them has been at pandemic levels in the last year.
I think that the tables are just turning because the precedent used to be that the artists would be throwing things at the crowd, right?
Yeah.
Like Ronnie Radke got in trouble, falling in reverse if you didn't know, because he threw mic stands at the audience, which obviously could injure people. But now it's all the other way around. The artists need to be like putting those plexiglass screens up like during COVID.
Wait, I saw a video over the weekend, a resurfaced video on Instagram about a guy, like it's some band member who throws a huge cake and just drills a dude in the face. You see
someone
that one?
who's in the crowd?
Yeah, and like in the person, it's like hit me.
What?
And like the cake, I'll have to look for it tonight, and I'll send it to you if I can find it. But this dude and it's an enormous cake. Like the dude's got a cannon for an arm. He throws this cake and it just drills this dude in the face. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Do you think it hurt?
I mean, I hope not, but it was still, because it's just amazing because it's captured in like full slow-mo, and you see the cake just launch at this dude. So yeah, we'll talk about Cardi B. We got a bunch of other stuff, but before we get started, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Also remember, if you do super chat anything $20 and over, we will stop the discussion. We will read them right then and there, and then we will get right back on topic. Mary, would you, for once again, I got to double check to make sure the volume's up here. Hold on.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll just monologue.
No, we're good. I just didn't.
I was so ready to talk about Gossip Girl.
Oh, yeah, go ahead if you want to talk about Gossip Girl.
Well, I don't know if there's a point now, but I guess I've been rewatching Gossip Girl in my spare time at the same time as finishing the second season of The Bear. The Bear is really good, and I do recommend if you're looking for something newer, but I just love watching things that are so expressly made for women. Yeah. You know?
Well, that's why
the way that it's shot is even for women to like psychoanalyze. I know it's stupid, but like Gossip Girl will have 10 seconds where it's just panning to different people's facial reactions to something that someone said.
Is that why reality TV is so good for women?
Yes. Yeah.
So, because it's all just people's facial reactions to things. Oftentimes in reality
I've also
TV,
been watching Kitchen Nightmares.
See, over the weekend, I watched two things. I watched, first of all, I started Warrior. Lots of unnecessary sex scenes. You'd hate it. But the story's interesting, and the lead actor is really, really good. It's got Hoon Lee in it, who I really, really like. And it's from the same guy who made Banshee, which I've sung the praises of here on this channel multiple times. I'd argue that the story of the Irish workers being put out is less interesting than the background story behind the lead character, you know, searching at first for his sister and then the assassin. It's very, very interesting. Also, I made a tweet on Friday night about how I have not felt this patriotic as I did on Friday night when I was watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I kid you not.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. Because I hadn't watched it. My mom loved Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, but I would, catch an episode here and there with her.
What's the point?
The whole point is that, look, I was reading a tweet on Friday night where this guy said, it's one of those like really, really, the kind of pervasive myth now that there was no such thing as anything good in the 50s. Like if you were a husband in the 50s, you beat your wife. If you were a wife,
you were on Quaaludes.
Yes, exactly. So there was a tweet that went out that somebody had that said the myth of a great America, it never really existed, which I thought was rich, considering these are the people who tend to talk about how lived experience is the only way in which to view the world. So if a ton of people tell you to the contrary, who are you to tell them they were wrong, right? But I'm watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and what it is you get to see actual Americana, meaning that these are all restaurants. First of all, it's extremely capitalistic because like there's a scene in the first episode where the guy's like, is it pronounced gyro or euro? He goes, whichever one they give me money for, which is fantastic. But in general, it's looking back on these restaurants that have been either within families or business partnerships for generations. They've been handed down from one to another, or a local staple is going out of business, and a businessman gets together with a friend, and they pull together the money to buy this restaurant because they believe in the importance of that restaurant for that community. And it really is kind of an amalgamation of all things that made America great, meaning that there's people from all walks of life, there's families, and the other great thing that I don't watch the newer season, so I wouldn't know. Not a cell phone in sight because it's 2006. So everyone's eating food and nobody's sitting on their phone.
They discontinued that show?
It's still on the air, I believe. I haven't watched it. But it really is. And I was already set on this point. I said that I was Americana pilled until I saw this, and then it got even better. There's this scene, I kid you not, where when his restaurant is ready to open every day and the food's ready to be served, you know what he does? He goes outside and he plants an American flag out front of the restaurant.
Amazing.
Amazing. So everyone should go back and watch that. That's what they should be watching. I'm also going to check out Twisted Metal probably tonight because I've heard other people say that it's actually pretty good. And it's got Samoa Joe in it, who's a pro wrestler, so we'll have to see. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, shall we? First things first, I've got some sad news for everyone. The legendary Pee Wee Herman, Paul Reubens, has passed away at the age of 70. He had a long-standing battle with cancer that he kept to himself. And it's very, very sad. And I saw a lot of people posting about this. Somebody said he's at the big fun house in the sky, which is very, very accurate. But, somebody pointed out that he was also in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie. But as an actor, a lot of people really loved the character of Pee Wee Herman.
I thought that this was fake.
No.
Richie just walked out on the porch and he was like, Pee Wee Herman, now, Sinead O'Connor. It's just rough for the 90s right now.
It's a rough time to be a 90s kid right now. So very, very sad. So this was the statement. It says, Paul bravely and privately fought cancer for years with his trademark tenacity and wit. The statement continued, a gifted and prolific talent, he will forever live in the comedy pantheon and in our hearts as a treasured friend and a man of remarkable character and generosity of spirit. I have always felt a huge amount of love and respect for my friends, fans, and supporters. I have loved you all so much and enjoyed making art for you, he concluded. So, he had a statement that was released posthumously. So it's very, very sad. Between that, Sinead O'Connor, all these stories. So I just thought I would give everyone an update on that. That's very, very sad. But, the work will live on in a way that a lot of newer stuff coming out won't live on. People who made an indelible mark on society will, and I think that his work will do so. All right. If you were wondering how the box office went this weekend, holy crap, Barbie is just destroying it. $93 million domestically this weekend. That's only a 43% drop, which is insane.
Yeah.
It's the second best weekend ever, second week ever for the studio, not adjusted for inflation, bringing its domestic total to $351.4 million and $423.1 million. This is going to be Barbie billionaire in short order. It seems it's even doing well in China. It started off slow with $8 million and made more than that this week.
Yeah, and we were saying maybe the drop-offs will be bad because of the messaging being so heavy-handed.
People don't care. We were wrong.
People don't care. I actually thought that this was going to be this successful just because it's fun to watch for most of the movie and it looks nice.
Yeah.
And going to it feels like an event, which is so rare these days. And Oppenheimer's doing well, too.
Yes, 44% drop only for Oppenheimer, pulled in $46.2 million this weekend.
Now we can crab dance on Haunted Mansion.
We'll save that for when we talk about Justin Simeon. But it was the second best weekend for an R-rated movie, not adjusted for inflation, ahead of Deadpool. So, I'm sorry, the best second weekend for an R-rated movie, not adjusted for inflation, ahead of Deadpool from 2016, I believe. Okay. So, very, very good. Also, the best week of View Theaters, which is a European theater chain, similar to what we have here with AMC, had their best week ever. Their best week since 2012, since Skyfall came out, because of Barbie and Oppenheimer.
I know a lot of movies aren't releasing in Russia right now for obvious reasons, but I'm just wondering if Russia has piracy theaters. Because piracy is legal there now, it would be the best business idea to just start a piracy theater where you show not only the new releases, but old ones too.
It would be kind of interesting if they got they couldn't
call
get
it
good
the eye
versions.
patch.
They couldn't get good, the high seas.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that they're in a theater watching a theater version of one. So it's they can see the people in the front row because it's a cam recorded one.
I'm sure there are better versions of it out at this point. But
so both of those movies are doing very, very well. What is not doing very, very well right now, ladies? Actually, it's not true. Dead Reckoning $139 million at the box office, not doing well. Sound of Freedom, like $149 million.
Tom Cruise is seething right now.
He must be seething right now. And Sound of
Freedom
Freedom
needed more like Bollywood-esque dance sequences in Dead Reckoning. That's what people really want.
No,
clearly.
because that didn't work for the Eternals either.
Well, okay, but Barbie is clearly very like Bollywood inspired. Am I wrong?
I mean, the dance sequences, I guess, but that
it could have gone on like that for an hour and a
universal-
half, and people would have still liked it just as much.
Well, you know why that is, right? It's got nothing to do with Bollywood. It's got all to do with who the target market is, right? So when they do that in a Marvel movie, everyone laughs at it because it's stupid. If there is a upside to the success of Barbie that I can think of, like a very good upside, would be like, look, if you want to inject your movies with awful identity politics, towards women, just make movies for women. That way the men don't have to care, right? So if they make a bunch of, if like a bunch of movies get made about like, what are products that women like to buy that could be turned into movies other than like brats and stuff like that? But the thing is people have that problem and the movies fail when they inject the identity politics and the feminism into movies that are for men. So as long as you just make the movies for women, I see no problem with this because it won't be my business. I won't have to care.
But there are so many women dragging their husbands and boyfriends to see Barbie.
Yeah, but
so it is their business.
But no, because they're expecting it to be bad, right? They're not being when a woman gets dragged to a Marvel movie and it's ruined, she doesn't care, right? Because it's a Marvel movie. When a man gets dragged to a Barbie movie, he shouldn't care if it's bad because it's not made for him, right?
True. I guess that's why people were so perturbed that like Ben Shapiro, for instance, made a 45-minute long video criticizing Barbie because at the end of the day,
minutes, like 3 people.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's not for you, you know. Well, that's actually the case.
And that excuse works as long as it's actually making money, but that falls flat when and I didn't hear the director or anyone telling anyone this movie's not for you. They weren't saying
they said it's for everyone, even if you hate Barbie.
Exactly. So that's actually good marketing on their point. So we'll see where this goes. It'll be very, very interesting. But I have no problem with people just making movies that are for the demographics they were intended for. Somebody mentioned in the chat they can make a movie about shopping at Target. That'll be great. It's
Hobby Lobby,
the movie. Actually, that could be because remember there isn't what was the Halloween movie that was going to come out? The one about Party City or not Party City?
Oh, there was a Party City movie.
No, it wasn't Party City. What's the other one?
Oh no, Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Halloween. Wasn't there a Spirit Halloween movie?
It's in the works.
They can make a haunted Target movie.
True.
Or a haunted Hobby. They could make a religious thriller at a Hobby Lobby, like a possessed ghost at a Hobby Lobby that they have to get rid of from there.
There were a lot of confused messages in Barbie.
Tales from Target, says Jeffrey. I like it,
but. I don't know. I feel like it's still enjoyable, even though it's confused about what it is.
Yeah. Or how about this? They can make a movie about trying to get Chick-fil-A to open on a Sunday. I was just talking to somebody the other day who said there's a great business model in buying Chick-fil-A late on a Saturday and then reselling it on Sunday. Reheating it, reselling it on Sunday. It made me laugh because I could see people trying to do that. That Chick-fil-A goes for that's premium. That's a premium markup when you sell it on a Sunday, right? Because you can't get your hands on it.
Because you only want it on Sunday.
Well, yeah, that's the only time I ever think.
You only want what you can have.
It really does feel that way, right? It's the only time I ever think about it. I almost never think of Chick-fil-A unless it's a Sunday. All right. Also, speaking of bad news, it's bad news for The Witcher, which is put indefinitely on hold because nobody wants to watch The Witcher with Liam Hemsworth. Shocking.
Well, it's really about the strike,
I know,
right?
but also because nobody wants to watch it without Henry Cavill.
But maybe this show will get discontinued properly, permanently, just because of the strike, and we won't have to go through the replacement. That would be awkward and not successful anyway.
Yeah.
You can't find someone better than Henry Cavill for the role.
No, it wouldn't work, and we'll have to end up seeing what ends up happening with this. I can see this one being one of the ones that's just quietly pushed off the docket due to the strike.
Forever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could say,
especially after those challenging beauty standards comments
with the
from
lady whose
showrunner.
name I couldn't pronounce. I felt bad about that. All right, and speaking of the strike, ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Silverman has a rant for you because she's mad that people are basically, that big name actors are taking advantage of the indie film waivers that SAG is handing out.
Well, SAG is clearly, they've made a statement that indie movies are important to keeping the industry alive while they're striking. So I'm confused by this.
Let's listen to her rant. Hold, please.
Can somebody explain to me what I'm not understanding?
Before we there is cussing here, so just be forewarned.
He knows all of a sudden. Because I feel fucking pissed off, and I know I just must not be understanding something. There are like 40 movies being made right now. Movie stars are making movies because they're independent movies. And SAG is allowing it because if they do sell it to streaming, it has to be because streaming is abiding by all the things we're asking for. That's just working. The strike ends when they come to the table and we make a deal and agreement. So that is going to be what happens. So you're just letting people make movies, and movie stars are making movies that the goal is to sell them to streaming. And they're just, but the streaming service has to agree. Yeah, that's called the end of the strike, which is now going to be probably exponentially prolonged because they have movie stars making movies. Like, the strike is supposed to be,
just take off the hat. Just take it off.
It's movie stars aren't making movies for you anymore. Now what are you going to do? Well, they're making movies. What the fuck?
Language.
I got offered an indie movie. I fucking said no.
You're so cool.
And so did a bunch of my friends. And now some of my friends
Oh my gosh,
are
take
saying
the hat
yes.
off.
And
That's the most annoying part about this video.
I'm really pissed. Please explain to me why I shouldn't be angry, because people are making real deal sacrifices. People, writers, actors, crew people, all these people are making they're sacrificing their livelihood
People don't
for
want to
this
sacrifice
cause.
this. They hate
It's called Union Strong, where we are all together. And when SAG joined the strike, we should see every movie star out there striking along because you have insurance because of your union. And you get residuals because of your union. And all these things that you get because of your union, and you can't stand with your union. So I don't know if I'm mad at these movie stars that are making these indie movies that are obviously going to go to streaming. Or am I mad at SAG
I didn't notice
for
it until
making this interim deal for these indie movies? Like, what the fuck? It's scabbing. You've made that so clear that it's scabbing. Now all of a sudden, movie stars can make movies if they're indie movies where they promise they'll only sell it if X, Y, and Z. That's called the end of the strike, motherfucker.
Jeez.
Look, the thing is, though, like, first of all, not everybody has the option to do this right now. Some people just have to take the jobs they can get and work.
What?
And they've got the waiver, so why are you mad? The union that you're fighting for said this is okay.
Right.
I don't get it.
You and your D's nuts hat. So there were some comments here on her post. Zoe Deschanel said, I think we're striking certain particular contractual agreements with the AMPTP, not all work.
Also, these are independent. It's the studios you have a problem with.
Those people who are making real life sacrifices, who might be impoverished by this, aka not Sarah Silverman and her ilk, can work on these indie movies and have some money to live off of.
They need to. They
also,
have to.
Why? Okay, maybe this is the case already, but shouldn't the health insurance benefits go to people in SAG who are below a certain tax bracket?
I don't know.
Since the people at the very top can afford their own health care.
I think the entry level, like, you have to be making at least $26,000 a year to even qualify for
There
SAG.
should be a minimum, but also a maximum.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Like, I'm sure most of the ones who are of a higher tax bracket don't even take advantage of it.
Of course.
Like, though I did hear that one of the big reasons, I remember reading, like, literally back in the year 2000, when Mick Foley's book came out, mentioning, like, the whole reason why wrestlers wanted to get into the Screen Actors Guild union was because it had amazing health insurance, which is something wrestlers needed back then. So I don't know how, if that's held up or anything. But, it just makes no sense considering the independents are how a lot of people could actually make some money doing this. And they're not the people that they have a problem with. Independent films from small studios aren't the ones who you have to worry about, scanning your likeness and and using an AI version of you for future films. Viola Davis has put her G20 film on hold, and Brad Pitt has done the same as well for his F1 racing film in solidarity with their union.
Despite having a waiver.
They had a waiver, and like, for instance, Brad Pitt's movie was being filmed almost entirely overseas, so it wouldn't have had to worry about it. But they are standing in solidarity with the people in their union, and the problem is, look, the average person, they're just going to have a big old problem with image right now, because the average person looks at Sarah Silverman making that video, and even if she's making a point, you're just whiny and unlikable. And that's going to be I'm not passing judgment on that.
It's called Union Strong.
I'm saying that they're going to have to, this is going to be a hurdle for them down the line if they're going to actually want to get this solved. And I don't know how they end up getting it solved anyways. I don't know how they get people how they get these studios to compromise on something like artificial intelligence when they've clearly proven that they don't care. They're hiring exorbitant rates for people who specialize in that field right now. So I don't see this working out for them. And the whole point of the actors going on strike is they seem to be better at softening the message for the public. They're more likable than your average writer who doesn't seem to be able to, have a coherent sentence in an interview without just coming off really, really bad, which is weird. But this isn't helping them. So we'll have to see how things move going forward. Yeah. Oh, also, guys, if you collect Funko Pops, they're dropping their workforce by another 12 to 13%. They laid off 100 plus people earlier in the year, and they're looking to lay off another 180 to 200 people. Represents 12 to 13% of their workforce. So all of your bobbleheads and your Funko Pops are, not long for this world. It's a market that's looking to burst.
If there's anybody in the chat watching who collects Funko Pops, I just want to say, stop it. Get some help, There
you go.
There was this guy on Reddit who said, I make $70K a year and I can't make it. I'm impoverished. And then they went to his earlier posts and found out that he has like a collectibles, he like has this extremely ornate like collection of vintage video game consoles or something, or like has a whole arcade in his house. And he said that he doesn't even use it.
He just collects it.
Yeah, he just has spent tens of thousands of dollars on it.
And he can't make $70K a year work because he's got to buy old copies of Ninja Gaiden and Metal Gear Solid. Yeah,
I don't know about these people's financial decisions during a recession.
It says it's best known for its Funko Pops, and they talk about it having a cult following. That doesn't just hurt them.
It's the parent company.
This doesn't just hurt them, though. This also ends up hurting the comic book shops, which a lot of them aren't even comic book shops per se anymore. A lot of them are just collectible shops with very, very minimal selection of actual comics for sale, because the stuff that actually moved was this stuff. And if even this stuff isn't moving anymore, what the hell do you do?
How are there still what are they called? FYUs in malls?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Like, how is that still a
FYE?
thing? Or sorry, FYE.
What the hell would the U stand?
Yeah,
if it was for your, what would that be? That would be
unentertainment.
Yes.
Because they just sell Funko Pops and stuffed animals,
posters, which you can just get at Hot Topic now.
They technically have DVDs and video games, but we know where the money's actually made.
Somebody in the chat mentioned Ron Perlman, super likable. Actually, Ron Perlman, who like apparently abandoned Twitter, not X, for Threads, is already back.
Yeah.
Is already back on Twitter. not X. I'm going to call it that from now on. Twitter, not X. That's what I'm calling
Is it supposed to be Twitter X?
No. Everyone that I see who's talking about it keeps referring to it as X, the site formerly known as Twitter. Like, it's literally become Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince.
Twitter X is now just indiscriminately annoying people because they put this giant X glow sign on top of the building when they realized they couldn't take the Twitter logo off of it in San Francisco. They're not moving, by the way. Elon is very strong on that for some reason. And it's pointed directly into an apartment building across the street of a bunch of San Francisco techies who have high-rise apartments. And it does a strobe light every 10 seconds into their windows. So they can't sleep.
So at the very least, that's going to last until the next city council meeting when it gets brought up for
As
vote.
if living in San Francisco could get any worse.
Yeah, they keep saying. Dustin in the chat keeps saying, "I'm dead naming X." Well, you know what? If that's what it is, that's the hill I'm going to die on today. That's fine. So yeah. Oh, also, guys, I do have a thought experiment for you, Mary. This was a Reddit thread on Am I the a-hole?
Yes.
So a woman
Now deleted.
canceled the date with her boyfriend because he wouldn't wear pink to the Barbie movie.
She said, the Barbie movie means a lot to me. I've been looking forward to this movie for so long. I've asked my boyfriend to go to the cinema with me, both dressed in pink. It would show that he supports me and it'd just be fun.
That's freaking weird.
I told him it's the minimum effort. He
That's
says
freaking
minimum
weird.
effort is him coming along to the movie. Am I the asshole for finding this unreasonable?
Yes, she is. She's
I don't understand
absolutely-
how it's supporting her. It would be supporting the movie,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But, solidarity, female solidarity. Everyone has to wear pink. I did see guys wearing pink when we went.
Dude, she is definitely the a-hole here. Like, acting is, and then getting mad and
You think they're going to
canceling-
break up over this?
And then getting mad and canceling the date because he ruined the vibe.
Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to go to this with your girlfriends.
Yeah. Like, oh,
because that's who it's made for.
Jeffrey Whitty says, bro, get a passport.
There's so many girls that treat their boyfriends like purse puppies these days. It's crazy.
Yep.
And I mean, she's literally treating him like a Ken, like he's her accessory.
And you're right. Like, how does going to see a mass marketed product from a studio support her? Exactly.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean,
get it.
is the idea that like because it'll get more Barbie movies made, which means she will want to see them, which means he's supporting her entertainment choices, I guess.
I don't know. If a guy who really likes Marvel said that the minimum effort is for his girlfriend to go in cosplay to see Marvel movies,
You have to dress up as Black Widow.
I would have
or
the
you don't-
same reaction.
You have to dress up as Black Widow or you don't love me.
Yeah.
Yeah, an anonymous woman said that if the roles were reversed and he asked her to wear one of those Oppenheimer hats to the cinemas, she would do it in a heartbeat.
You can't really sit in the recliner chair with that
Somebody
wide
says
brim hat, though.
She added that she wasn't asking for a lot and merely wanted him to unleash his inner Regina George to wear a pink shirt. That's asking a lot, and you sound like a psychopath.
Also, Regina George treated her boyfriend like shit. That's why he left her.
There you go.
Right?
We've decided to cancel the date since the mood is already ruined, despite what the title says. We've made this decision together.
Together?
And I'm sure he's like, thank God. Thank God. He's like, Ken, stand up for yourself, will you?
And she said the pictures would be for our eyes only, not social media. I don't believe you for a second.
Nope. Women don't know how to do things and not put it on social media. It's a joke. It's a joke. Another says, isn't it enough that he agreed to watch the movie? Don't pressure your partner into something that's not comfortable for them. If they say no, respect and move on. Ladies.
He has to bleach his hair to look like Ryan Gosling. That's the minimum effort to support me as I go to see Barbie.
Yeah.
And feel empowered as a feminist.
Women's entitlement.
Otherwise, it's not enough for me. You're not putting in enough effort to this relationship.
Somebody says, bro, just wear pink. It's Barbie. So?
Well, I guess he can go date that girl then.
They should go do that. She should go out on a date with him. Chat, what do you think?
Why don't you just marry each other?
Yeah, chat, what do you think? Should he have, maybe that's what the poll should have been today. Maybe it should have been about Barbie and Ken.
I mean, it's clearly a shit test, right?
Yes. Well, he did the right thing.
And he passed, so good for him.
Yep. All right. What would you like to see first, Mary? Cute of the day or cringe of the day?
Start with cute. How
All
about
right, we
that?
got cute of the day. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we've got a couple of submissions here. First things first, from Honest Adam on Twitter. This is Roxy. She's a good old girl. Been with us for 12 years and is the sweetest. That is an adorable looking pooch right there.
Restful.
Very restful. And then we've also got this one from Frito Bandito on Twitter. This is Bard. He's a good mutt mix of all the husky breeds.
Cute.
Very cute. Very cute. All right. Mary, you found the cringe of the day today, right?
Yes, I did.
Yes, okay.
It says this new DeSantis 2.0 strategy of spending time with the people in smaller settings might work if he had a personality. You can't fix this.
Yep. All right.
Have a beer win, as always. Yeah.
Well, I'm here. I don't know the other ones.
I'm just kidding. I'm not pressed.
Okay, all right, it's good.
Have a beer win, as always.
Wait.
I'm here. I don't know the
I'm
other
just
ones.
kidding. I'm not pressed.
Okay, all right, it's good. All right, we'll say hi to everybody.
The way he switches gears so quickly is so like off-putting. He's like, anyway, I'm gonna go talk to other people now while I'm holding this beer.
Yeah, he's like holding it like this.
I'm holding this beer because I drink beer and I'm such a normal guy.
He does look like he doesn't human very well.
I'm honestly like sympathetic to him because we all have our awkward moments.
Oh yeah, I don't human very well either. So
So it's humanizing, but Trump would never do this.
I don't know what would he do.
Maybe you could say that makes Trump more of a sociopath. That he's never, he never has awkward moments like this.
Well,
in
he
public.
does. It's when he dances.
Maybe, yeah. But we love him for it.
Yeah.
This is just kind of off-putting. And then someone quote tweeted and said, "The most horrifying part of this campaign is seeing DeSantis act just like me in social situations." And everyone on Twitter being like, "He has no personality. He's so awkward. What a weirdo."
Yeah. Well, that's me. Like I would be the same way. I would be just as awkward as DeSantis.
Me
in
not
person.
5 drinks in.
Yes.
He should probably drink more beer.
Or is it maybe
might
maybe
help.
it was a Bud Light and he got caught and he's like hiding the label?
Yeah, people were asking if it was a Bud Light and he's suspiciously hiding it.
It's like
So
the opposite of what they do in movies where like the logo is conspicuously always facing forward. I like it.
I hate it.
All right, let's get started then, shall we, guys? So, all right, so Kanye West, well, formerly Kanye West, now they just call him Ye. He was banned 8 months ago on Twitter, now called X.
The world is changing so quickly and I can't keep up.
In very short form, right? So he was banned 8 months ago for what they called an incitement to violence, what Elon called an incitement to violence, because he had some anti-Semitic posts where he posted a swastika inside of a
Star of David.
Star of David. And then he also had the "I'm gonna go DeathCon" tweet. DeathCon.
Yeah.
I don't know if he wasn't banned for the DeathCon tweet. As far as I know, he was banned for one about with the swastika inside the Star of David.
Well, they said he needed to delete 2 posts, so I thought that was one of them.
Yeah.
But I think the other one is the one where he was essentially body shaming Elon.
Yeah.
Posted that one where he was looking very rotund and pale
on the boat.
on a boat
On the
with
yacht.
Ari Emanuel, I think.
Yeah.
And he had to delete that. But so on Saturday, he was unbanned officially. He was banned back in December. He was unbanned on Saturday for like an hour. Then they deleted the tweet where he posted that picture of Elon. And then, I don't know if he personally deleted it. They might have deleted it for him.
Yeah.
Then they banned him again. Then they unbanned him again.
Yeah.
So now he's officially back.
My favorite part is that he said DeathCon still. That he said DeathCon rather than DEFCON. Like that's what he should call his next album, DeathCon 3.
I just don't think that Kanye's interested in coming back to the platform if he hasn't posted anything yet.
Kind of like Trump.
It's like once you're off it for a long enough amount of time, you realize it maybe wasn't that good for you.
It's not good for
But
you.
Elon is trying to revive the platform by bringing back its most popular users, namely
sense.
Trump and Kanye, and neither of them seem interested in being on it.
Which is, I mean, they're kind of insulated, right? They don't need it. Trump doesn't need it per se, though I think it would help him.
No, Trump absolutely needs it if he's planning on winning another election.
It doesn't feel like anybody's actually taking it. I'm sorry, but this whole election cycle doesn't feel like anybody's actually taking it seriously, except for Vivek.
I agree.
Like Vivek seems like he's taking it really, really seriously. Like DeSantis, his whole campaign feels like an amalgam, like a big, like that whole clip we just watched. That's what his whole campaign feels like to me. An awkward moment where he kind of stumbles through a room and says, ha ha ha, and then walks away awkwardly.
Yeah.
But like Trump would need it if he wants to win, I guess.
I just don't know what's taking so long.
But Kanye doesn't really need it. I mean,
Kanye is in Italy right now, and he's just chilling.
With Bianca Censori.
He's just
with his wife.
Jet setting with Bianca.
His wife. I also, I mean, it would be interesting to have Kanye back on there. Maybe he can address his concerns, like his lack of concern over Balenciaga.
I want to know why his deal to buy Parler fell through.
Yeah. Is that the one that Candace Owens'
husband owned that one.
But I would like to know what he thinks about Balenciaga now that the dust is settled.
Right.
He stood by Balenciaga.
That was among his last posts on the platform. He said, "Never turn our backs. Demna and the Balenciaga family for life. Cancel culture. Jesus, please heal." He also said, "I stand by Balenciaga and denounce all witch hunts. I cancel culture. Jesus is king. Ending trafficking doesn't start or end with a fashion campaign."
Yeah.
I won't say the rest of that tweet. But that seemed weird to me. His last posts also were about porn. He said, "The use of porn destroyed my family, but Jesus will heal everything." And he kind of called on Elon here, remove any and all forms of pornography from Twitter and every platform. Pornography is a product of pedophilia. When grown men look at porn, they're watching someone's daughter relive trauma for money.
Yeah.
Which I see a lot of truth in that. He also said, God loves Balenciaga. Love is the answer. Jesus is the answer. I just don't think that God loves brands instead of people.
Yeah.
In a certain sense, yes, God loves the people that, posted that horrific ad campaign. But a brand isn't a person. So I don't know why you would stand behind a brand instead of a person. And it was just confusing to me since Kanye has, I guess, made a name for himself being this anti-establishment celebrity.
Yeah.
And standing against the darker parts of Hollywood that we know.
Unless it's a fashion brand, apparently.
Well, yeah, unless it's a fashion brand that has collaborated with your business. I mean, I wonder what he would think of Sound of Freedom at this point. He's probably seen it.
So wait, so is the idea here that, how does he feel about Kim doing porn then? Like, because was she reliving trauma? Is that what he's saying for her? Because the trauma is that her mom made her do it and then released it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously she never did it in that was never her career.
Yeah, but still.
It's the same thing, yeah. But when he says that it destroyed his family, I think he's referring to his own consumption of porn.
Okay, I was going to ask that question next.
Not Kim's
is that what
production of porn.
So he's saying that his use of it hurt the marriage?
Probably, yeah.
Proof that it's extremely addictive, because somebody like him does not need to use or watch porn. He could have almost any woman that he wants, I'm sure.
Well, that's the confusing part about it is, usually, at least this is my opinion, when someone turns to porn, it's because they've already become so disinterested in actual human connection that it's like a cope. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, it's they've given up on the idea of either because they're not good with people, or they've been hurt so badly before that they don't want to go through that again, or they, something like that. And it could probably start off as a coping mechanism to start and then become an addiction that breaks them from the ability to even have, functional relationships.
I agree, though, that Twitter needs to crack down on porn, especially since one person named Layla Micklethwait, who has she's the leader of the trafficking hub movement. She's talked a lot about how Twitter as a platform, at least before Elon's taking over, did really slack on enforcing rules against CP and exploitation material on the platform. And there have been reports that since then it's drastically decreased. But I think it would be good for the platform if it banned that stuff, because essentially they're trying to copy TikTok, right? They've already implemented this like video, but like they're trying to make it Instagram, TikTok, like all platforms in one.
Wearing too many hats.
It's like, imagine going on the TikTok For You page and it's just hardcore pornography every video. That seems like what would proliferate on Twitter, on a For You page on Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't really scroll videos on Twitter anyway, though.
I don't. I mean, is that an option to even like? I mean, I just
if you
go through my
click on
timeline.
any vertical video and scroll, it will just go. It's like a
never do
For
that.
You page in that way.
I don't ever do that.
One reason that Kanye might not be posting on Twitter again is because there are rumors the FBI is going to probe his presidential campaign.
Oh, he's still running for president.
That's still a thing.
We need. Okay. So what are we gonna get? Are we gonna get? So we can get Trump, Vivek, and Kanye West is speaker.
It says
Kanye West is press secretary.
Recent reports of a potential FBI probe into Ye's presidential campaign might compel him to hold his tongue on the platform. Also, it looks like Twitter resuspended his account, so it didn't last long, but now he's back on the platform. But the reason I voted in this poll today that, you know, maybe he should stay banned is because Twitter wasn't the best thing for his mental health.
Well, that's. I mean,
it's not the best thing for anyone's mental health, really.
Yeah.
People say it all the time that it's a cesspool and it changes your perception of the world because you're only seeing the most extreme takes.
It's really funny too because over the weekend I hung out with some friends that skate that I've seen more than a couple of takes on the internet where we disagree on plenty of things, and none of that existed in the space that we were when we were in the real world, right? Like, and we talked about some stuff like that. Like, there was definitely things we disagreed on, but the mood was inherently more pleasant and easygoing when you have to recognize the humanity of another person. And I do feel like both sides, and I do mean both sides, are guilty of, first of all, needing to have an opinion on everything on Twitter. Like, you have to have a take on everything, even if it doesn't even like interest you. It's like, it's kind of like algorithmic farming. Like, you're like, oh, I have to have a take on this because it's in right now. And they have to have a take on everything. And you don't need to. You don't need to have an opinion on Twitter, like on absolutely everything. Like, if you're a Renaissance man or woman and you have an interest in literally everything, I suppose that makes sense for some people. But in that case, then why wouldn't they only talk about the thing? Why are they only talking about the things that seem to be catching fire algorithmically? And I feel like you do yourself a disservice when you water your opinions down by having a take on literally every issue that comes out.
One thing that does make me happy about Kanye getting unbanned is how mad this is making people. One person called it shameful that he's been reinstated. Absolutely shameful that Kanye West's account on Twitter, now referred to as X, has been reinstated. Kanye used this platform to go on an anti-Semitic tirade where he threatened to go DEFCON on Jewish people. Another person said, "This is sending the message that hatred is the currency of this platform."
That's not what that's sending a message for. That's the most hyperbolic of takes.
I mean, really, with this, the message that this is sending is that only Hollywood elites have a chance of getting their platforms back. And if you're just a nobody who loses their platform for probably, you know,
is Alex Jones still banned?
Stupid reasons.
Alex Jones
exactly.
is still banned.
He's still banned because of Elon's personal prejudices against him as a person. Only celebrities or people that Elon Musk likes as on a personal basis are going to get their platforms back.
I kind of like the idea
that's
that
the
he just
actually
embraces
worrying thing about it.
I like the idea that he just embraces it and he says, like, look, like, send me a video.
No, but he still calls himself a free speech absolutist.
Yeah.
While tons of people who don't have nearly the same following and audience as Kanye are still not going to get their accounts back.
Nope.
A permanent suspension is supposed to be permanent. Is that not what it's for? You know?
Is there because I always hear like people kind of conflate banned and suspended all the time.
Well, yeah, he got temporary suspensions before he was permanently banned. But it's like if you don't have a fan base and a legal team to advocate for you to get your account back, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Which isn't fair.
And like if I was Kanye, you don't need it, man. Like you've got your money, you've got your. Granted, I'm sure he wants to make more music one day. He's running for president, so if he needs to use the platform, he needs to use the platform. Also, there was once. Remember, they couldn't ban Trump when he was president because they can't ban the account of a sitting president, right? Because he has to. It's ruled that he has the right to speak to his constituents through that platform.
Right.
The same should be true, I guess, for people who are candidates.
Well, that's only the case for, I think, candidates for public office in Florida.
Okay.
Any other state, then you're not entitled to a platform on Twitter, which is, again, insane.
Yep. I do think that he should have been unbanned. I think that Alex Jones should be unbanned.
But Elon is not a free speech absolutist. He's just not.
Not in the way
this is what I was honestly thinking about this a lot over the weekend, just like, you know, the concept of free speech, because this is such a noble concept that we value in this country, but I think we've given it an honest try. Like, we gave it the old college try, and nobody seems capable of either enforcing it indiscriminately or using it properly, you know?
Explain that.
Well, this is actually because I watched this debate on the Whatever channel between a Catholic apologist named Trent Horn, who I've watched before. I really like his content, and Destiny, where they were debating about abortion. And it was a very, like, it got to very metaphysical. Destiny did a debate with a couple of female pro-life activists, including Lila Rose, before, that didn't go as well because they just seemed a little bit too emotional rather than logical in the debate. Even though I'm staunchly pro-life, I was invited to do that debate and alongside those women, and I declined because I'm not an expert on life issues. I don't know all of the statistics and the facts. I just know that my conviction is that I'm pro-life, and I'm not going to move on that, but I'm not the person to argue for it on a public platform in front of millions of people. But Trent Horn definitely is. Like, he's like the standard bearer, I think, for someone to argue on that side. And he did a really good job. I watched most of it. But it got to a point where Trent was interrogating Destiny's concept of like what constitutes a human person, and Destiny said it's somebody is a biological human, obviously, who has human consciousness, a human conscious experience. And when he was asked to define what that is, he didn't. He was incapable of defining it because he was like, oh, it's so complex. So at that point, your argument collapses in my mind anyway. But and then Trent asked him this hypothetical question. Destiny has this hard line for some reason that the human conscious experience comes about at 20 weeks to 26 weeks in utero.
Okay.
And Trent asked Destiny, if we had a drug that we could administer to a fetus that would prevent the fetus from ever reaching human consciousness, and they would continue biologically growing and developing and be born and grow into what appears to be a full adult human person, then would you approve of it if we sold these biological human beings as sex dolls or slaves or something like that? And in order to be consistent, like philosophically consistent, Destiny said yes.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I know that if I were on the other side of this table, I would be like, I would stop the line of questioning and just be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's so disgusting that you would even say that.
$20 super chat there from Pixel Kitten VT.
Finally caught you live. Thanks for being an amazing example for us female content creators. Keep up the great work. And Brett, you rock with some great thought-provoking points.
Thank you. There's a show. Thank you, by the way, Pixel Kitten. There was a show called Dollhouse where they can wipe the memories of people, and they're basically a base level human being, and they can have consciousnesses uploaded to them. But then when they're wiped, they're basically docile. And
it's sort of like Severance.
Yes.
Too. But he said, like, if we were able to, like, erase memories, then that still wouldn't be okay. That wouldn't be ethical because someone had a human conscious experience at one point. But if they never reached human consciousness, then it would be fine to sell these bodies essentially as sex dolls. And the reason I wasn't on the other side of the table is because I'm not Trent. Because Trent was able to actually engage with that argument, articulate it
in a way that yours is you have moral convictions.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean you're the best
but
person.
I'm just like, I was like reeling at this, and I looked at the comment section, and it's all people saying like, wow, it's great that you hosted this debate. Civility is so hard to find, and like between people that disagree, we should be able to logically argue our opinions and not resort to ad hominem attacks. Okay. And I was just like, what is the value of civility when we've gotten to this point where you're so like Destiny or other interlocutors, how are they valuable to the conversation when you're so like morally atrophied that you would approve of that for the sake of being philosophically consistent? And that just like led me down a rabbit hole, just thinking like, is free speech really worth it? Like this, I know it's this noble value that we have, and it would be great if we could have it, but we've tried it. And this country is the closest we've gotten to a society that's actually free. The backbone, and that has actual free speech, and we still don't actually have free speech.
But the problem is in this case, you just pointed out all the reasons why you found Destiny's argument wrong, right? What, like,
not really,
why you disagree with them.
It's not why I disagree with it. It's just.
But what I'm saying is that,
I feel like I have an instinctual reaction to it.
If the speech isn't free, then he can't make those arguments. And the best example you'll get to actually change someone's mind is when this other guy can provide you a clear, concise, and reasonable explanation to the contrary to what Destiny is saying, and you don't get to have that discussion. And then the only people that end up seeing it are the people that either already support him or already don't support him. You're looking to change the minds of people that haven't made up their minds, especially with debates like that, right? So without the free speech to do that, there's no way to prove that Destiny's take is bad.
I guess it was just blackpilling for me to go. Like, I went into the comment section to check if anybody else was like, what the fuck did I just listen to? And nobody felt that way. It was just like civility above all. And I mean, personally, I think they're right.
I think that his take, whether I agree with it or whether I disagree with it, the fact that the other guy was able to explain to him and articulate why he's wrong, why he thinks he's wrong, he's going to sway a lot more minds than somebody just spewing into a microphone to no debate at all, or not being able to be heard in any way, shape, or form, because then people fall underground, your take becomes more radical, and the viewpoints end up being worse because you don't get to air this out in a public platform.
I guess I would just rather see a debate between someone like Trent Horn and pro-choicers who actually feel morally convicted in being pro-choice, rather than someone who doesn't believe morality exists at all.
But the point of the free, like, whether you believe that free speech is a good thing or a moral thing, the point is that the morality shouldn't be involved in whether they're allowed to speak or not. You're allowed to speak immoral things. You're also allowed to counter with the morality you believe is a better idea or a better way of living. And that's the whole point of it, I suppose.
Everyone in the chat's going to be on your side. I already know it.
All right, let's go to Superchats. We got a couple there.
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm working and right now, so I might have misheard, but did Mary just yeehaw as a Texan? I resemble that remark.
Did you do that?
I did.
Did you yeehaw?
Cardi B.
Have you ever
with
seen
the microphone lasso?
One of my favorite things ever. There's this great meme that says, like, you can't just yeehaw your way through life. And then it shows a picture of like cowboy boots with rollerblades underneath, and it says me. That's me. I can absolutely yeehaw my way through it.
GA said, Mary, have you tried Person of Interest, or has Brett tried to get you to watch? Leverage, original, not the reboot, is a fun show with no explicit sex.
Yes. The funny thing is, Mary might be literally the very first scene in Person of Interest is John technically in bed with the woman that he loves. It's not sex, but they're very clearly like together after such an event because it's kind of the tipping point for the show. You get the call to action from that scene. But yeah, that and Leverage are both very, very, and Leverage is so much fun. And you're right, do not watch the reboot. But Leverage was the definition of just fun, kind of low IQ television. Like you don't like, it's fun. It's just great. Like a lot of the stories, they have like the most ridiculous MacGuffins, and like they're basically superheroes. They're regular human superheroes, but it's just great. It's a Dean Devlin show from the early 2000s.
Okay.
And then when they remade it, or when they did the continuation, they wouldn't bring Timothy Hutton back on because he had Me Too allegations against him that I think ended up going nowhere. So he was just ended up out of a job because nothing ever came of any of that. But that was one of Aldous Hodge's biggest roles early on. Him and Christian Kane, great in that show.
Is Person of Interest a high IQ show?
Yeah, and more so. Like the hardest part about Person of Interest is I end up being kind of what I complain about to other people, meaning that the first season and a half are very much like episode of the week, and except for like the flashback scenes, and then the last episodes of the season end up tying into the larger storyline. Once it gets through that part, it becomes very much like you have to watch week to week. But everyone that I've ever told to watch it has never regretted watching it. I do, and given that artificial intelligence is such a big discussion going on in the world right now, I do recommend that everyone.
What year did that come out?
2011.
Okay, I did watch it like when my parents were watching it.
Yeah.
But Brett, to answer your question, Brett has been consistently trying to get me to rewatch.
I try to get everyone to watch it. I really do believe. I saw a great article that was written that said Person of Interest was the last great American network television show to be made, meaning that like there hasn't been something that's consistently caught on, that's not like a returning show that's just already been on the air for a decade or more. And it really did end at the perfect time because it ended in 2016, just before everyone went kind of nuts. And you think about the fact that show had Taraji P. Henson, who was on Empire. She also played the mom in the Karate Kid reboot that you like, that only you like probably. But him, Michael Emerson, and Jim Caviezel. And you think about it now, they would never make that show with Jim Caviezel. Never. There's a $20 super chat there.
Chubbs' Farman said, Mary, you are rolling a 20 on this one. We want all the free speech, but people like Destiny get followings because of it. Free speech should come with the obligation to use it in an ethical way.
No, at least in my opinion here, the idea is that, yes, he's got a following, but if the people watching that debate between, what was the other guy's name?
Trent Horn.
The idea is that you need to sway people with the ideas that Trent Horn has, and if there's a limit to free speech, then it becomes up to who decides what the morality is that polices the speech. And right now, would you want the people in charge of our government and in charge of these tech platforms? Would you want them deciding what is moral?
No. I just think that free speech was enshrined as a right in this country at a time when we didn't have to worry about people like Destiny being our ideological opponents.
It still ends up falling back on who gets to decide what is moral, and the people in charge right now would not. The people in charge right now would tell you that Destiny is moral. They wouldn't tell you that Trent Horn is moral. They would be making the argument that the guy who wants to allow people to abort at any point because it's the woman's choice.
Well, he actually weirdly was very staunchly anti-abortion post 20 weeks, which just seemed arbitrary if he couldn't define what human consciousness is.
But to them, the argument for morality itself is arbitrary. They don't have a strong, they don't have a staunch moral stance.
We missed a $20 one from Grant Arnett. He said, I saw the Barbie movie and I'm confused because fathers are patriarchs and none of the Kens were dads. Also, all the monologues sounded like Andrew Tate videos. Did we see the same movie? Well, he instituted a patriarchy in Barbie Land, but without all the bad parts of patriarchy, right?
Yeah.
Without the, groping women and harassing women. It was literally just a utopia.
I mean, they were under a spell. There's an issue of consent and bodily autonomy.
The Barbies seemed to know what was going on because one of them said, well, I'm sick of being a leader all the time anyway.
Yeah, but they end up, but then
the Kendom still revolved around Barbies because all they wanted to do is spend time with Barbies.
But didn't
they wanted to explain their favorite movies to Barbies and sing to the Barbies. It was still all about the Barbies.
But didn't they make the argument that they were like under a spell? They had to break them out from a spell.
They did, but it didn't make much sense.
There is a strong concern about bodily autonomy and consent there.
Well, they weren't having sex because they don't have genitals.
No, I mean, I'm still they're being made to believe something that they don't believe. Thank you. Thank you. I love that the thought leaders of America are using Barbie as the talking point for all that is intellectual right now.
Okay. The Forlin Joker said, "My internet is so bad I can't watch Jack Rip Pee-wee."
R.I.P. Pee-wee. The guy. It's Pee-wee Herman.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yes. R.I.P. to Pee-wee Herman. Let's hold off on the rest.
Okay.
We will come back.
So Candace Owens just released an interview with Andrew Tate, and it's reached, I think, 2.3 million views in just a couple of days. And I don't know what I hoped it would be, but I think that, unfortunately, this interview had all the same pitfalls as the Tucker Carlson interview with Andrew Tate, in that Andrew Tate was still just allowed to brush past or omit a lot of the facts about his criminal case, and it focused a lot more on, the fact that he has a controversial past.
Yeah.
And he's kind of successfully rebranding himself in the eyes of a lot of conservatives because it appears that he's this like free speech martyr, when none of the facts of the criminal case in Romania were being addressed. It took an extremely long-winded 3 hours for me to get through this interview. I watched all of it just to give it an honest chance because we all know how Andrew Tate feels about being taken out of context. And it just made all of the same mistakes that Tucker made. Besides him omitting the truth and omitting key details about his webcam business and his criminal case, the rest of it just seemed to be Andrew Tate blowing hot air about how his critics are in bad faith and they're hunting him down. And I'm gonna like cover some of the things he talked about. One thing is that he addressed the Adam 22 comment. He did a speaking appearance on with Adam 22 and his wife Lena the Plug somewhat recently, where Adam 22 somewhat misogynistically just offered Lena the Plug, his wife, to Andrew Tate to make an adult video together. And Candace Owens asked him, how did you react to that? He said, pretty disgusting. He didn't ask her, he offered her. I felt sorry for her, so I was very measured with my conversation with them. I could tell she was nervous. She was swinging on the chair back and forth. She didn't want to be there. She felt extremely nervous, and I think only a coward would berate a very nervous, very scared woman. And I think she expected me to go at her hard. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age. He obviously declined the offer. But it is ironic, right, that Andrew Tate is the one getting raked through the coals in the media for being a misogynist and not Adam 22, because Adam 22 is the progressive, sex-positive, male feminist guy, and Andrew Tate is the evil, meanie, misogynist guy, according to a bunch of dishonest journalists. And I don't even think that Andrew Tate is a misogynist. I think that he's just a morally compromised individual. So Andrew Tate condemned porn production and porn consumption yet again, but he reiterated in this video that he feels no remorse for getting rich off of essentially having a porn production company. And his justification is that all of the people pointing a finger at him have their own skeletons in the closet. Yeah. And especially Christians. He's Muslim now, he was raised Christian, and he seems to have a bone to pick with Christianity and Christians in general. But I don't think that calling out a public figure for hypocrisy or immorality necessarily implies that I'm perfect and blameless. Yeah. It just means I'm stating what I believe, which is that they did something wrong. So that seems like a cop-out answer to me.
Well, a lot of people these days kind of ascribe the belief that, like, look, don't throw stones. Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, right? But everyone in the world today, I was reading this other article today that was about staying in your lane, right? And they're basically talking about how everyone has to only talk about the things that that relate directly to them, because if you have an opinion on something else, it's hypocritical, and it's like that's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah.
And I mean, I actually tend to ascribe to that most of the time. Like, this show is actually hard for me sometimes, because a lot of time I'm like, look, I don't know these people's story. I don't know what's going on with a lot of this stuff. But you are in a lot of ways judged for having an opinion on other people. Unfortunately, it's just part of the gig. Right. For somebody like you or I who do the show, it's just part of the gig. But I get why that bothers people. I get why it rubs people the wrong way.
Sure. But Andrew Tate just seems to have this libertarian streak, like a live and let live streak that doesn't make sense for someone who believes in God and believes in morality and the reality of good and evil. And he just seems to have a very weak perception of morality and the degrees of accountability that people take when they contribute to a societal ill rather than participate in it. Like, producing porn is obviously worse than consuming it, because in one case you're remote from the evil that's being committed, and in another you're the one enacting the evil, right? Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's not just... Like, he believes that all of these societal ills are haram and degeneracy, but still states that he has no remorse and doesn't feel, I guess, sorry or guilty for producing porn when he believes that it's something that's so destructive to men today, and he still believes himself to be a thought leader for masculinity, and he's pro men. Why do you think he refuses to admit that? He explained it by saying, all of these people pointing a finger at me have also done worse things, and if they were investigated to the degree that I'm being investigated, I'm sure much worse things would come about from that. Yeah. But that's just a chicken and egg situation. Like, obviously everybody has done something wrong in their lives, but when you're a public figure, you unfortunately have to answer for it, and you don't just get the good parts of being rich and famous.
$20 one there from Thursday, and it's quite relevant.
He said, Milk Bar made a good breakdown of Tate's lies in those 2 interviews. Well, we actually have a Milk Bar TV clip pulled up to play here.
Hold on. Let's put that on. It's a fantastic segue, ladies and gentlemen.
I just want to say, Candace Owens played one snippet of a Milk Bar TV video, the first one that was put out, but then suspiciously didn't play the parts that were actually self-incriminating. It was just, answer for this video where you seem to be beating this woman.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me, what's this? Hold, please.
What's wrong?
Nothing. Okay, here we go.
That it says I am using the lover boy method to somehow convince women to do things they didn't want to do.
Oh, I don't want to do that. So, okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me.
This is simply me explaining. It's actually a dating course I made a long time ago.
Your bottom bitch, the new girl, you go out for fucking a nice dinner.
The basic premise of the video was me explaining that I don't mention I have a webcam business ever.
Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl.
And that I'm Mr. Rich and I have this nice car and I go on dates with girls.
And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Sometimes when I say I have a webcam business, some of them want money and they want to work for me. That's the basic premise of it.
Right.
My first girl was so good, it was easy. My girl would sit there and go, oh my God, before this I was a waitress and it was shit, and now I do this and I make so much money, and the guys all love me and they adore me, and on my birthday they send me presents, and I get so much money, blah, 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 and it's so much fun, and we stay at home, and da-da-da-da, and we're gonna go to Thailand soon, and we're gonna be working in Thailand, and we're gonna stay there for as long as we want, you should come with us, it's gonna be so much fun, da-da-da-da, martinis, 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 bang, threesome. Slam them both, your bottom bitch knows, this girl's like, okay, well I'll try it. Put both girls on camera together the first day, so the new girl could sit there and just sit with the other girl and get drunk. Give them a bottle of vodka, put on the fucking chatterbait, 100 tokens per shot. The guys will send loads of money to get the girls drunk, because guys like drunk girls. Girls will sit there, get drunk, have a great time. You say it's your new job now, you haven't go to work ever again. That's how you recruit girls. Do not recruit girls any other way.
An extract of something that you said that 10 years ago.
I'm a little bit embarrassed about it, to be honest with you, because it was 10 years ago and I was talking about women and dating and things in a way that I wouldn't talk about them anymore.
I'm glad to hear that you're not proud of the video. And I think that that's one of those things where I say that people don't allow you to grow up from things that you've done or said in the past. And this is obviously when you were operating a webcam business.
For 4 years, I ran a webcam studio, which people find very interesting. I had naked girls sitting on the internet talking to guys.
So you don't, do you do that still?
I have 3 girls who still work for me.
There was a webcam company. I've had nothing to do with it for 10 or 11 years.
I always say I took the most liberal route to conservatism that there ever was. Yep. And so I'm just not so quick to judge people.
The only thing better than titties is gambling. So it makes me more money. So.
Okay, we've got a $25 one from Get123. He said, a friend of mine thought that Tate was arrested for having a Twitter feud with Greta Thunberg when she accused him of having small d energy. Pretty sure they don't charge people with trafficking for that, LOL. Yeah, it's just impossible to escape all the different narratives that are running about this. But so in this video, he's clearly telling people about the way he recruited women into his webcam business. But when Candace asked him about it and showed a short clip of it, which they hate so much, showing a short clip of something from 10 years ago and then not giving it context, the context is that, you know, he's lying about it. He says, this is how I explain to women that I'm dating that I run a webcam business and make sure that they understand it and don't get mad at me for it. That's not what the video was. It was, this is how I recruit women into my webcam business. And if they watched the full video, then they would have seen that. And he's clearly lying through his teeth. I just found it really disappointing that he was able to get away with that and brush past these key details. There were other things that Candace let Andrew Tate get away with. He claimed that these purported victims in the case support him, once again not mentioning that the 2 women who support him are the ones getting charged with him and his brother. He named TikTok, but he didn't mention OnlyFans, which was the actual business model. He claimed that his charges don't include physical violence or abuse, which they absolutely do. He claimed that his case only addresses events during and past 2021, when the documents go as far back as mentioning events in 2016 to 2018. And he didn't get pressed on the videos where he suggests that he was financially exploiting them, taking a cut beyond 50-50, which they didn't know about. Nor did she ask him about the woman who named Vivian, who he claimed he recruited into this business when she was 21 after they were dating for 6 years, meaning he was dating her when she was 15 or 16 years old, and after dating for 6 years made him into one of the bottom bitches. So I went to the comments and I saw a lot of people reacting in a stupid way. They were either saying, wow, my eyes are opened, Andrew Tate is innocent and he's a victim of the Matrix, or the comments were, Andrew Tate is a piece of shit and how dare you give him a platform, blah, blah, blah. They weren't actually talking about the facts. But here were some more sane comments. One said, I like most of the interview, but guys, we all know that the excuse he came up with here for making that video was a straight up dodge of the question and a lie. He was literally teaching guys how to use girls they've been with to make money out of them. He wasn't explaining shit about how he told the girls he made money. I love Andrew, but he be lying sometimes for real. Another person said, Tate raises some good points, but the video of him discussing the Loverboy method F's him up and he knows it. Not sure how he's going to get out of that. Another said, I feel like Andrew Tate wants to silently distance himself from what he said in the past, but without outright admitting he was wrong.
Oh, yeah. What he'll end up doing in society right now, we have, I mean, it may be different for him because of his, because of the ongoing court case. Mm-hmm. But for a lot of celebrities, you get away with a lot with time and rebranding. Because
perception is everything. And if you repeat something enough times, people will just believe it. That's him doing that and the media both doing that. And the left-wing people that are interviewing him from the BBC and the right-wing people interviewing him like Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson both have mixed motivations for why they are interviewing him, meaning they're not actually going to get to the truth.
Yeah, I think that what he's trying to do is like it also works hand in hand with the method of just flooding the internet with various takes on it. Where like we talked about when this case first broke, how hard it was to pin down the facts on what the charges were and everything that was going on. Is that obfuscation is your friend in this case, because the average person, they're not going to take a strong stance one way or the other if they can't know for sure what they think of him. So he can rebrand very effectively by just obfuscating what the facts of the case are and then pushing his image in another direction.
And he's saying things that resonate with the person across from him. So when he says, oh, I was young and I made mistakes and people judge me for it and they try to cancel me for it, someone like Candace Owens is going to be like, oh, I was in that situation too. That makes sense.
There's a $20 super chat there from Revert Problems 101.
As a Muslim, I can rest assured you that God always knows the truth and he will have to answer for his lies on Judgment Day. We always say Allah knows best. You can't dodge anything on Judgment Day.
Well, you can't.
No. But, I mean, for the time being, you've got your Bugatti. And
well, I think, didn't they confiscate the Bugattis? I think they confiscated the Bugattis.
I thought he had like 40 cars. I don't know where they're at right now. I guess Romanian police are just driving those around.
I love the idea that the Romanian police
they're just joyriding.
They put like police stickers on the side of the supercars and they're just driving them around.
Another comment said, he refuses to apologize for selling drugs. We have all sinned, but if you are not willing to say you're sorry for helping other people destroy their lives, you're arrogant. He lumps all Christians into the same group of people who are wolves in sheep's clothing, who claim to be Christians but are not. So he says these Christians have no right to point fingers. True Christians don't point their fingers at other humans. They point up to the Lord. Lumping truthful followers with wolves is a foolish mistake. Your personality is pretty much formed by 8 years old. Not that you can't change or learn better ways, but humans don't normally change that much. If you as an adult formed a pornography company and profited from that disgusting industry and are not sorry for what you did, you have no love for humanity. In general, Andrew Tate seems like an arrogant, selfish fool. And another person said, finally, Andrew Tate has joined the Matrix. Now he acts in such a way that he never acted before. Bowing to the Matrix, talking like an agreeable person and pure polite man, according to the feminists. He has reformed his image to be palatable to a certain audience. Is that not what the Matrix is?
It's
he used to have this irreverent, testosterone-fueled image, and now he's like, oh, I'm an old softie now. I've changed. Another person said,
can you point out, I'm going to read a comment here, and that way you can kind of explain this. It says, what part did he lie about? I'm not following how this is in any way illegal. He basically just said he would just sell the lifestyle and everyone reaps the rewards. You just have issues with crude language. So what you're saying here is that the idea of the coercion comes from the lying and getting them to. Can you explain to people how that works?
Well, okay.
For the people that don't know.
You can disagree with the legal definition that Romanian prosecutors are using to call this human trafficking, which is the charge, by the way. But what he did seems to fall under that umbrella of a definition, because he seems to have used force, fraud, and coercion and deception to make these women work for him, giving them the idea that they are special, that he's going to marry them, that he's going to have kids with them in the future if they work for him. That's how he got their loyalty. And if you think that shouldn't be illegal, that's fine, that's your opinion, but in Romania, that's illegal. But he also was lying and saying that he's not been accused of violence or abuse, when that's very clearly in the documents. And I also wanted to address him talking about these two women who supposedly support him and say that they weren't victims of anything. They are Romanian nationals being charged with him and his brother. Their names are Luana Radu, who is RL in the transcripts, and Georgiana Nagel, who is NG in any of the transcripts from DICOT. And Luana Radu is a former inspector in the Romanian police force. She's being investigated for using her connections to obtain secret police info about the investigation and about the officers who are involved. Georgiana Nagel is accused of using physical violence against one victim by pulling out the stitches of her recent breast implant surgery to avoid leaving traces. And another thing I wanted to tell you guys is that he seemed to not realize that his calls from jail were also being monitored, because on January 28th this year, the Romanian police intercepted a call between him and a woman named Anna Maria and his cousin Luke Tate, recording him encouraging political pressure and bribing on a Romanian senator, as well as George Simeon, who's a member of the Assembly of Deputies in Romania. A quote says, "Make it clear to them you're going to get a lot of votes when Tate says you were on his side." And he says, make it clear to them we're going to reward them for publicly coming out in support of us. Yeah. And then also, we were talking about these leaked texts that were transcribed by Rolling Stone last week. And I found out where those came from. And we actually do have the screenshots. And, they could be faked. Who knows? But this is from a self-proclaimed whistleblower named Eli Zanpa. And he claims to be the former head of marketing and sales for CobraTate.com. And he said that it would cost nearly $8,000 to get into this exclusive War Room club, where you would get access to online courses that would also cost you more money. So you would have an upfront payment, and you would continue paying for private courses and access to private events. And they got access to events that were held at the compound in Romania. And he also said that there were people employed at Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok in the War Room Club, and that they would find social media posts attacking the Tates and counter them with pro-Tate bot accounts, or they would just go out of their way and delete those anti-Tate accounts. And this isn't part of the prosecution, so you can believe it or not, but it's up to you. And then when a spokesperson for the Tates was asked about it, they said that Eli was not an employee, but one of 30 affiliates, and one of around 50 people who had access to Andrew Tate's Twitter account, which he would use to recruit people into the War Room. So I believe that the porn business was how Andrew Tate made most of his money, but he also made exorbitant amounts off of people paying for this online club, basically. And I mean, he's on the Full Send podcast just last year in July, gloating about how he got these stupid men to drain their life savings on these chicks on OnlyFans that worked for him in hopes that they would meet up with them in the future. And now he's totally changed his tune. It just seems like he's rebranding his image to become palatable to conservatives, but at the same time doesn't want to say that he's sorry for anything he did, and doesn't want to claim the conservative label, because that comes with too much responsibility. What do you think comes of all this? Do you think he ends up going to jail? I don't know. I truly don't know or care, actually. Because I don't care if he did anything illegal. I care that he did something immoral. That's already out there for everyone to see, that he did something extremely evil. Whether that actually falls under breaking the law in Romania, it's kind of irrelevant to me. That's for Romania to figure out. But I think we should care more about whether he's morally reputable in character than whether he's a criminal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So if he's genuinely reformed, that's great and all, but he's still lying through his teeth on all of these interviews. And I was just hoping for these interviewers to do a little more research beforehand, because then they would know exactly what he was omitting. Yeah. I think that it's a shame that there are just independent journalists, aka Twitter accounts, and YouTubers doing the actual research, while we can't rely on real journalists from established media outlets to do the same. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I had to say about it.
All right. Let's go super chats. Get some there.
Okay. Rising Underdog said, R.I.P. Pee-wee. The tequila dance will go down as one of the best bar dance scenes in a movie ever.
I'm going to have to watch Pee Wee Herman this weekend. It's sad that he passed.
Shane H. Wilder said, what happened to going to just watch a movie?
No, you have to dress up like Barbie now or Oppenheimer now if you want to go and see a movie. This weekend, you're going to have to... Wait, is this weekend Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
You're going to have to wear the yellow jumpsuit and dress up like April O'Neil this weekend.
or else I'm not supporting you.
Yes, so you're not
as a TMNT fan.
You are not supporting me as a lifelong fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles if you don't dye your hair red and go as April O'Neil this weekend. I will not. I'll have to cancel this show, and like I don't know if we can still do this anymore if you don't do that. So.
Shane H. Wilder said, I want to put out an album of 45 minutes of silence and call it DEF CON. I'll get my coat and see myself out.
I'm down. Let's make it. Well, no, it's kind of like who wrote the book? It says like it's like all the best things about communism, and it's just blank. Who did that one?
I thought that Michael Knowles did that, but it was why you should vote for Democrats.
Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, that's what they should do. That's a fantastic idea.
Reasons to vote for Democrats. Corey Anderson said, I had some room clearing gas this weekend. Well, thank you for that information.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Pixel Kitten VT said, finally caught you live. Oh, wait, I already read this one.
Let's do one more and then we will move on.
Shane H. Wilder said, going up against Trent Horn is never a smart idea.
But therein lies the reason why the free speech is so great. You can go up against someone like Trent Horn, and hopefully at least somebody, maybe not the most entrenched of Destiny's supporters, are going to change their... Exactly, like are going to change their mind. But the people who are on the fence, the people who haven't yet made up their mind, they will. And that's a good thing. All right. Let's hold off on the rest and we will come back. Let's talk about Justin Simien, Haunted Mansion, the failed movie, and a weird set of takes he had as he lost his role as the head honcho for Lando. First things first, this movie bombed at the box office. It made $24 million this weekend on a budget of $150 million. Not good. Not good at all. And he had a lot of weird takes regarding this.
He got an interview with The Hollywood Reporter that is titled, To Be in Hollywood is to be gaslit constantly.
Yep.
Too black or too queer for some and not enough for others. The Dear White People filmmaker gets real on those Bob Iger comments.
Just look,
Media is such a joke.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Simeon does work that regularly generates critical adoration, but not always paydays.
Shocking.
He's grown used to the uncertainty, but suggests that Hollywood is due for a hard reset.
Well, here's the funny thing about that. If Hollywood did a hard reset, the people who aren't making money would be the ones that were gone. One of the things that I found really interesting is that whether we're talking about Dial of Destiny or this movie, or a lot of other films recently, especially from Disney, the critics have been very willing to criticize movies. Disney fans are going to be Disney fans. The Dial of Destiny audience score was high. The Haunted Mansion audience score is high. The Haunted Mansion critic score is 42%. So what do you do, right? Normally you'd say, well, if the critics hate it, then I'm probably going to love it. Do you actually believe you're going to love the Haunted Mansion movie from Disney that came out in July and not October? Why the hell didn't this movie come out in October? First of all.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that
okay,
doesn't make much sense.
But like they don't line up, and the critics have seemed more willing to criticize these Disney movies lately than the audience, because Disney fans are such rabid, a Disney fan's going to love whatever Disney shovels down their face. Whatever slop Disney throws at them, people are going to be like, yes, Mr. Iger, I'd love some more.
But nobody is watching the new Star Wars content.
No. Or Marvel. Like, the Secret Invasion score is minuscule.
Yeah.
Like a 4 out of 10. Nobody likes it. It's not doing well.
His take here just doesn't make sense. He thinks that he was replaced as the director for Lando by Disney for being too black or too queer.
Which is clearly not possible.
Meanwhile, he was replaced by Donald Glover. Yeah. So it clearly wasn't your race that was the issue. He just said, I'm attached, I think, but I don't really know. The last thing I was told was that they loved it, but needed to put a pin in it until they could figure out everybody's availability. I haven't investigated further, but I'm not an idiot. I'm not alone in that experience. But I can't help but wonder, am I too black? Am I too queer? And people just don't want to say that? Because it seems like I develop things with these companies and they just never happen for reasons unknown.
That is
so it must be because I'm black and gay, right?
It's a persecution complex. And if you are wondering if he thinks about those things too much, this was his response to him finding out that Donald Glover got the role. Says Donald is a national treasure. Glad he and Steven get to carry the character forward their way. Can't wait to see it. Rooting for everybody black.
Right. Imagine the outrage though if he got replaced by a white guy.
Like he's very clearly very heavily focused on race. When he talked about why the movie would be also before I even get to that, Reimagine Tomorrow tells us that it's not possible to be too black or too gay at Disney. It's literally impossible. It is not.
Well,
it's not possible.
The interviewer said, "You say you wonder about being too black or too gay for these corporations." Yeah. But I've also heard you speak about getting negative feedback from audiences about not being black or gay enough.
You can't win, and it's a double-edged sword. The other thing that's funny about
like
this, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's he also says, I don't know how to make things that aren't personal. He basically talks about how he's like he has to make self-inserts and that he doesn't know how to actually be creative in the way that somebody who has to write about things that aren't their life, their world of view or their lived experience. Because he talks about, he says, more importantly than the movie, he says more important goals were related to race and culture. He says, like, basically saying that the movie had to be this and this. It had nothing to do with telling a good story. It was about making it black. It was about making it queer. That's not a good story. That's not telling a good story.
Also, he said that he wanted Haunted Mansion to be as black as possible.
Yes.
And in reference to still being contractually obligated to promote Haunted Mansion while all of the actors and writers can't do the same thing, he said, that sucks because I know how that might look to some people, but I also know how it feels to fight for something that I believe in within the very system that I'm fighting. I'm a black gay man in America, so it's not the first time by any stretch. But look at me. I'm making this $100+ million movie. That's ancestors' wildest dream stuff.
So you're proof that the system has come a long way, but you're fighting the system.
Like, I'm sure when the slaves were emancipated, it was so that you could make Haunted Mansion for hundreds of millions of dollars in 2023 and not make any of the money back.
He says, as a filmmaker, I have an incredible desire to bring the history of New Orleans and specifically black culture to the movie. This is the birthplace of jazz and the best food in the country. The first thing you should be saying is, my goal is to tell a good story. To tell a good story.
Even if you don't mean it, honestly.
Exactly.
If your real goals are about race and identity, you could at least pay lip service to wanting to make a good movie that's enjoyable for people.
He also criticized the original. He says it was a kid's movie that came out at a time when I was not a kid. It didn't necessarily speak to me. So he doesn't really have any attachment to the original, and Disney doesn't care about that. But it is just further proof that what you do now in Hollywood is you take a system that is by all means extremely politically correct, extremely focused on race, gender, and sexuality, and then still somehow use that as the weapon against the people who are trying to promote it for you when your movie doesn't work. You're not at odds with the studios. You're at odds with the audience who just doesn't want to watch movies based around these concepts. They just want to see good stories get told, and they're not getting, like, look at Barbie. Barbie is making tons of money in spite of all that stuff because they kept the focus on the marketing away from these topics.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the studios, he responded to Bob Iger's comments, which are that the SAG strike has unrealistic expectations, and Bob Iger was also accused of being the one that said, you know, we're just going to starve them out, basically. We're going to wait until people lose their houses. Mm-hmm. He said, I just keep going back to the irony. It's a company built around a talking mouse. Unrealistic is kind of y'all's thing. It just sucks that his words don't align with the reality that we've all faced. It's a terrible feeling to try to make art to give people a sense of escapism. That's not what you're doing.
That's the opposite of what
when you're in a constant state of trauma. We need to pay our bills and not feel as if we're in constant economic strife. What's so unrealistic is that a system built like that can just keep going and going and going and not exhaust itself. We're exhausted.
So are we, dude.
I mean, he's saying this after Dear White People didn't make any money. It just got a bunch of critical acclaim.
And what they've never learned is that strong critical acclaim doesn't actually equate to success.
Yeah.
Even strong audience acclaim from Disney anymore doesn't seem to equate to success because Disney fans are so hardened that they don't go outside the bubble, right? So the score on this movie might be 86% on Rotten Tomatoes, but that's because the only people that went to see it were die-hard Disney fans who are going to give it a high score no matter what the movie is.
Mm-hmm. He also talked about how Orange is the New Black actors were talking about the fact that they didn't get any residuals for the show from Netflix. He said, if they had that issue, it makes sense that we did. Then I realized, oh, it's weird that the viewership data was kept from me. Now I've sort of figured out through my own means that our show, Dear White People, was more popular and successful than we were ever made to think it was. Did I get bamboozled? You can't escape that feeling. It might have had a lot of viewership. It might have had great reviews from the people who liked it. That doesn't mean that it made money, and that doesn't mean you're deserving of a certain paycheck just because you felt strongly about it.
Also, like, the residual thing is just getting funnier and funnier when you hear it from actors that got strong upfront paychecks to begin with. Like,
right.
It's just ridiculous, especially in an age where, like, do the unions really do much for an industry where there's so many safeguards put in place for like in most of working America, right? There's so many laws in place related to like safety for employees. Like, do unions serve the same purpose that they served 50, 60, 70 years ago? Not really, not in the same context. And somebody like this, look, they're not going to tell you the streaming numbers, not because I do agree with who Andrew Schultz was saying, like, look, they're not telling you the streaming numbers because they're trying to keep you out of the money you deserve. They're trying to prevent you from seeing the streaming numbers because the numbers are so bad on most of these shows.
But his assumption is just that it's so popular that they don't want me to know, so they don't have to pay me because I'm black and gay and they hate me for my skin color. Yep. They also asked him, did you see an increase in phone calls in 2020 because his work deals with race and racism? He said, I saw the interest dip and rise again. The expectation is that I should be so happy that people pay attention when they do. It's subtle, and I know that it might be important to the person that's in front of me, but the person that they work for, who I may never see, I don't know. The proof will be in the pudding, and half the time, the pudding does not show up. I'd call it a mindfuck. To be in Hollywood is to be gaslit constantly.
They're such pleasant people to be around.
I just don't even know how to respond to that.
But at the end of the day, what it is you made a movie that failed. You
the guy that made Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
What was it that he said about his show? Like, he said that it got snubbed for awards.
Yeah, well, he was mad that the show didn't win any awards.
And that it deserved it because of its message, not because it was popular, which it was.
It was popular. I loved Reservation Dogs. It was great.
It's giving the same energy here.
Yeah. But here, at the end of the day, regardless of your gender, regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of the color of your skin, you made a $150 million movie that made
$20 million on its opening weekend.
That made $24 million at home and $9 million overseas. This movie is going to lose the studio hundreds of millions of dollars, and
it's like they're on a playground and the adults are watching.
Yes,
you know.
At the end of the day, if I don't care if you were like I'm trying to think of like who's the ideal person that I would want to give work to. I don't care if you're the greatest human being on earth and I idolize you. If I give you $150 million and you make me $30 million, you're not getting another job ever. You shouldn't.
Right.
Like, judging by the laws of actual capitalism and the way things are supposed to work, you should not be rehired because the market says so.
We've got a super chat from High Voltage 75. Hey, Brett. Hey, Mary. Awesome party. Good tunes. Good brew. Good buddies. I feel great, man. I don't know, man. I hate my father. I hate my life, but I feel great. You guys are great. I'm going to go pick a fight.
Let's go. Also, look.
To answer what you were saying, why does he think he's deserving of more money after he's just wasted over $100 million? He said what he hopes will come out of the strikes is we understand that especially in a capitalist system, there are going to be white straight men at the top who hold the power. They need to understand they don't generate the power. artists do. You can't separate the labor from the fruits of their labor.
Yes,
We're
you can.
willing to work to over-deliver because we love it. But there is a limit. We're human beings who read how much money that we make is generating for you. It's starting to give Sharecropper. It's starting to give Marie Antoinette. You have to work with us or we're not working. We'll find a different way to do our art.
And nobody will
you
watch
were
it.
working with the studios because they gave you capital.
Yeah.
So if you cared that much about storytelling on your own terms, you would have been finding that different way to do your art this whole time. You would have been doing indie projects, which now Sarah Silverman is wringing her hands about.
They always think that they hold all the power without realizing that it's the people that give you the money to make the art, that give you... Barbie's proof of this. It's not the movie that made the money. It's the marketing that made the money. Right? Yeah. The movie's fine, sure, but it's the marketing that brought people in to see this movie.
So thank Warner Brothers and Mattel for that.
Yeah,
you know?
You don't thank Greta Gerwig. I mean, thank Greta Gerwig
honestly,
as much as...
it has nothing to do with Greta Gerwig.
Yes. I mean, you can thank Greta Gerwig as much as like if you love the movie, sure. But if you want to thank, the success, if you want to thank the people regardless of responsible for the film's success, you thank Warner Brothers and whoever they hired to do the PR for the film because that's what made the money. Your movie isn't going to make any money. Your movie's not going to get to make any money if they don't advertise it and put it out there for sale. Like I said, the only people going to watch this movie are people that love Disney. Mm-hmm. That's it. And they don't love you. They love Disney.
Well, you were thinking about watching it. Are you going to see it now?
I almost went and saw it this weekend. I will say somebody in the chat pointed after how they ruined Star Wars. They deserve all they're getting. My favorite was this article from when I was talking about this from Heroic Hollywood. It says, the future of Star Wars looks brighter than ever. Well, that's the fakest headline I've read all day. It says, during Star Wars Celebration, Lucasfilm made some exciting announcements for the future of the franchise. At the event, Kathleen Kennedy announced Dave Filoni and James Mangold are all set to direct their own Star Wars movies. Nobody cares anymore, dude. It's dead. The brand is dead. People are mildly interested in Ahsoka. That's it.
So it's good news that they're just generating more content. That's the good news?
Yeah.
Not that the content is going to be good?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
A High Voltage 75, was that a Wayne's World 2 reference? Not a Wayne's World 1 reference? Because I'm not, it's not sticking with me today. If it's a Wayne's World 2 reference, I've seen Wayne's World 2 far less than I've seen Wayne's World 1.
Both were good.
Yes. I mean, the first one's just a classic to me. The second one I've only seen a couple of times. But
let's go to Super Chats.
No, there's one other thing here. Look, the fact of the matter at the end of the day, like, you build a reputation based off the amount of money you've brought in the past. Christopher Nolan was allowed to fumble on Tenet because of COVID and because of his past success as a director, right? Hollywood at its core...
No, he was given a second chance because he's a white male.
But Hollywood at its core should be the most colorblind of industries because at the end of the day, what they should want is a strong return on their investment. That's not something to criticize. That should be something to compliment because if you are actually confident in your abilities as a director, not just as a director of somebody who wants to make something that's a self-insert that speaks to like 19 people on Twitter and a bunch of people hanging out in Tent City in Portland, like that's one thing. But if you're talking about having confidence in your strong ability to direct a film that will speak to large swaths of the population, you want a studio that believes in return on investment, not a studio that believes in identity politics. That's not what these people are saying. What they're saying is, I want to both get the budget, get the capital, but not be responsible for the success that it needs to earn it. And that's annoying.
Tom Bombarder said, we shouldn't sell kids. Grinding them into makeup? Well, that's just fine, I guess. Look into fetal cell use in cosmetics and medications. That is all.
Don't forget about...
it was on Ellen. Who was the woman who said she used foreskin moisturizer?
Yeah. Oh, that was awful.
Quite blackpilled said, try not to get blackpilled, Mary. It ain't fun here.
Well,
I'll try.
Back to what we were just talking about. The worst thing about the baby foreskin thing on Ellen was the people in the crowd clapping like seals. They're like, yeah, use the baby foreskin for
like
beauty
they thought
products.
it was a joke or something.
Yeah, it was gross.
That's what Salma Hayek is using.
Yep.
That's how she looks that good at 56.
She does look great.
Disco Jensen said, this dystopia has less flying cars and body mods than I thought one would have. Overall, I think we're winning more than losing. They don't reproduce.
That's Tim's point. Tim always
They
points out
reproduce by other means, though.
Yeah, Tim's point is always it's a self-correcting problem, that they're nihilistic, they don't believe in reproduction, they kill their babies in the womb. And
Candace Owens and Andrew Tate were talking about this, like this Darwinistic approach, but
the problem
if they're indoctrinating more people than they're giving birth to, it doesn't really matter.
As long as the goal in America is to send your kids to a 4-year college, you're screwed either way. As long as
it honestly happens before college.
But I'm saying, that's when they get away from the parents' daily influence, right? So
I think indoctrination for millennials happened in college. Yeah. Indoctrination for Gen Z and Gen Alpha is happening as soon as they get a phone in their hands, as soon as they get a tablet,
and
as soon as they have
that's the same
connection to the internet.
Tim. That's the same argument I made to. I said, like, look, as long as those kids have TikTok and they end up in college,
you don't even need academia at that point. It does the work for you.
You don't actually need them to reproduce because they're it's your kids that are going to end up the product of it, not their kids. Their kids aren't going to be real because they're not going to have them or they're going to kill them in the womb. Mm-hmm. So.
Gordon Hammer said, evil does not die in the dark. It festers and grows. Bad ideas and immorality die with exposure. It needs to be discussed publicly so it can die.
Take that, Destiny.
It sounds really nice when you put it like that. I don't have a good argument. I just feel uneasy with that idea. I don't know. I have this instinctual repulsion to it. Shane H. Wilder said, if you referred to someone that you dated as a bottom B, maybe there is something wrong with you.
Fair point.
True.
Very, very true. Do one more and then we will move on.
I don't even know if I would categorize what they were doing as dating.
That's a business relationship.
Corey Anderson said, in the end, we weren't much. With the hollow space shrank down inside of all of us. For the good of all man, hold me down underwater and don't let me up again.
I'm assuming that's a reference to something that I'm not getting right now.
I'm not either.
But it is a bit sullen and somber for the world we're in today.
But to end the show, we've got something funny to talk about. Cardi B is assaulting her fans in the audience of her concerts repeatedly. For what, you ask? They splashed her with some water
that she asked
to be splashed with.
Well, the conspiracy theory now, Mary, is that it was not alcohol that it was not water that was splashed on her that made her have the viral reaction. That perhaps it was alcohol. That's what TMZ is saying.
What is the difference?
One is sticky and one is not.
Okay.
I don't know.
I just thought Cardi B had a toddler reaction. Thank you.
I have a toddler reaction to the crisis part. It's party time. There you go. All right. Should we watch the video?
Yeah.
All right. Let's watch the video here. All I'm saying is that it's a little bit. You got it. This is what happens, right? This is what happens when you act like this.
There are now multiple angles of this video, too. Instant replay.
Tell me some water again, bitch, because I'm hot. And give me some water. Splash her down.
Classic. No, you know what it was? You know what I bet it was? I bet you it was Dasani. And she's like, do not cover me in that substandard water.
Yeah, bitch.
Yeah, she said, put that tish in my P word.
Classic.
Let's fucking go, bitch.
So there was a lot of that, and then we have this that happened. Here we go. Why would
the reaction was instant.
The previous video, the previous video, she was very happy to let other people splash her with water. It wasn't just her splashing herself.
Me when I ask people to splash water on me and then they splash water on me.
Yes, it's basically what it was, right? That in the other videos, here's another angle.
I'm the one who gets smoked by the microphone, but didn't throw the drink.
Yeah, she hit the wrong person.
Yep.
And then another video shows that the girl who did throw the water looked at her and immediately apologized after.
Yep.
To her face.
Yep.
This reaction doesn't make sense. And then she just had another concert in Vegas where she threw her microphone again at a DJ.
Yeah, I think she's doing it on purpose. Like now it's becoming like a gimmick. Where
is she just gonna do this at all of her concerts now? Like
we'll have to
you leave with a black eye and it means you win a raffle.
Maybe what she's throwing is like fake microphones. Maybe like now it's a gimmick. She'll throw like a fake one that doesn't hurt if you get hit with it. Maybe it's like made out of styrofoam or something.
Okay, sure.
Here we go.
Wait.
Hold on. I didn't hear anything pop when she threw the mic.
She's also barefoot on stage right now. There's fake money flying everywhere. It's like a crisis party.
Yeah, well, that don't spray me with water. That would be horrible. Look,
I'm so glad you guys aren't in person, so you can't do that to us.
Yes. Look, it's given the fact that we're in a huge state right now where a lot of musicians are having stuff thrown at them, but in
some cases, in genuinely malicious ways,
Yes.
like with BB Rexa, like got a phone thrown at her eye, she got a black eye, and she didn't retaliate. But in that situation, it would have been justified.
I mean, I actually don't think it's like I think that you arrest that person.
Well, of course, but it's like it makes sense that you would be angry at someone for maliciously injuring you.
The problem is like you're essentially shooting into a crowded room, and unless she pitches on the days when she's not working for like the Atlanta Braves, I don't know if I buy that she's going to have 100% hit rate with hitting the person that actually threw the water at.
Yeah, she hit the wrong person.
And that's not
it's
okay
weird
anyways.
How as soon as the media started reporting on this, they assumed she was in the right.
Yeah.
And assumed that she hit the right person.
Yeah.
They said Cardi B retaliates, throws a microphone at fan who doused her with a drink on stage. Another one in Variety said Cardi B throws microphone at idiot who hurled a drink at her during concert. Like they just assumed that she was in the right. I mean, even if she did hit the right person, it just is such a toddler reaction.
I was watching an old performance from Muse live in Greece or something, like a stadium show. And he's I always forget the lead singer's name, but he's walking to the front of the stage and panties are just hitting this dude. Like, now what if he took his microphone? He's like, don't you throw your underwear at me. And he starts throwing his microphone at the women who are...
This is harassment.
Or Drake now, who keeps getting hit with like huge like women's bras, right? What if he starts throwing his microphone? He's like, this is only a D cup. Whack! And he starts throwing the microphone at women who have the indignancy to throw smaller bras than a G cup at him, because that was the size of the woman who got famous. But now tons of them are doing it. He's like, sorry, only D cup and up. Anything under that, I will throw my microphone at you, and I will be checking. I
think that's if this happened in the 2000s. Nobody would know about it.
No. Well, the internet's made this podcast. Yeah, thank you, Matthew Bellamy. That's the lead singer of Muse. I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. But yeah, like it wouldn't have happened and nobody would have cared. And it's just, it just comes off as childish and is a bad response to it. But at the same time, if I was an artist nowadays, I'd probably be a little bit worried every time I got on the stage that something was going to get thrown at me. But in this case, she asked people to splash her with water.
Right. And now the audience needs to be scared anytime that they go to a concert that something's going to be thrown back at them.
People have to come in like, I'm telling you, in like hockey helmets.
But it's exactly what Xavier and CJ were saying on the show on Friday. Like, the world is ghetto. Yeah. And I don't want to be here anymore. Yeah. Apparently the girl that got hit with the mic went to the police the next day, and there haven't been any charges dropped or anything, but Cardi B is now a suspect for battery.
Yes,
in Las Vegas.
I'm sure she'll spend a lot of time in jail.
I mean, obviously nothing is going to happen to her.
Yeah, it's the woman who's stuck. Yeah, she I like her.
Remember when Cardi B walked out of a club with that giant lump on her forehead because somebody had thrown a shoe at her?
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe
was it Nicki Minaj or who did that?
It might have been Nicki Minaj. I'd say if it was her, maybe she's having flashbacks.
Yeah,
to that
she has
moment.
like PTSD and she's lashing out.
What if George Bush started doing that? What if George Bush, every time he got on stage, he threw his microphone at somebody because of that one time he got hit in the head with a shoe?
Right.
Right? That would have been that would have been pretty realistic. I still think it's really, really funny how they don't point out they literally have the quote. It says asking for it. She literally, like, I don't know if we showed the part where she asks the crowd to do this to her.
Hey, give me someone. Splash her down. Here's the one. Splash her fuck down.
Look at her. Like, what is the difference?
Put that shit in my pussy, bitch. Come on.
What is the difference between this and some? Is it that you only want to be splashed from the back and not from the front? Is that what we're seeing here?
Maybe they got some of their drink in her hair and she didn't appreciate
I'm telling you,
that.
it was Dasani, and she just hates Dasani like everybody else on the planet. Have you ever seen those like pictures like in the middle of hurricane season in Florida and all the bottled water is gone except the Dasani? Nobody buys the Dasani because even if it means starving, dying of thirst, dehydration, you still won't drink the Dasani water.
I mean, the reality is you don't know what people are throwing at you. It could be anything.
Yeah, and that's a bit
Don't
scary.
solicit it in the first place.
Yeah.
If you don't want mysterious liquids to be hurled at you from the audience.
Oh, Bush did Bush dodge the shoe? I don't remember. Did he not get hit with the shoe? Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
DJs are now required to wear hard hats while working. What did the DJ do?
Did he throw water at her? That doesn't seem like
understand.
a good idea. That doesn't seem like a good idea to me.
Also, notice how the music didn't stop when this happened. She was singing off of an iPad.
Look, does anybody really care whether she lip syncs or not?
I guess it's just about being in the same room as Cardi B, which
Yeah,
I
like-
can't imagine aspiring to.
A regular like a musician that actually sings lyrically, you care whether they actually sing it or not. Cardi B, you don't really care.
People are saying this is why I Show Speed has been in the hospital with his eye swollen, like he was the one in the audience.
I like that idea. I mean, I don't think anybody actually cares that she like lip syncs her songs, right? I would care if like Eminem did. Like, I don't want Eminem lip syncing Rap God.
Oh, you don't think Cardi B is a real rapper?
I don't,
because you're a misogynist.
I don't think she's a good rapper. Like, I wouldn't have wanted her. I wouldn't have wanted Crazy Bone. I wouldn't have wanted ODB. I wouldn't have wanted any Twista. I wouldn't want any good rapper who's famous for a fast lyrical flow. I wouldn't want them lip syncing because it feels like they're cheating.
Going to a Cardi B concert is just Coco Melon for adults at this point. So maybe they can all act like toddlers together, and that's fine.
They let them eat cake.
Let them eat mics.
Let them eat mics. And like I said, like, people should start wearing helmets to the shows. I think that's a good idea. And it is
mask up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get like a face mask rather than a regular mask. This is in the chat there it says definitely not a Fed says no such thing as a good rapper. I respectfully disagree with you, sir. I respectfully disagree with you. All right. Do you think that this will continue to happen to her now? Now it's good. See, the problem is it's going to Streisand affect it. Now people are going to want to do it.
Well, she's playing into it because she did that stunt at the next concert. So I don't know.
I think she wants it now because it's going to get her attention, but eventually somebody's going to end up throwing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Not good.
They're turning the tables around.
They should she should go on tour with BB Rex. Who's the other one? BB Rexa, her Ava Max. They can go on
Pink.
The Target practice
Pink
tour.
didn't get assaulted.
No.
Someone gave Pink their mother's ashes and also a wheel of cheese.
I guess she's
not
a big
the
fan
same
of
person.
Cheese. I guess she's a big fan of cheese. Someone said, so that makes sense. But they could go on it. They could call it the Target practice tour.
She didn't eat that cheese. No one person can eat that much cheese.
Not to mention, the first thing you do if you're a celebrity
is she gonna check that on her next tour destination?
You don't eat anything that's given to you by a fan.
Check a wheel of cheese through TSA? Is that a thing?
I have no idea. I know that you don't eat something given to you by a fan.
I know you can bring food through TSA security, just not liquids.
Yes.
So you could bring your wheel of cheese with you on the plane.
She probably flies private anyways.
But they would be like, no, you have to check that. Anything bigger than a wheel of cheese.
Yeah. Up to a certain size and certain types of cheese. Like,
why are we talking about this?
I have no idea.
The world is so stupid.
Well, we live in a stupid world these days. It's fun to make fun of it. All right, let's go to Super Chat, shall we?
Just one left from Shane H. Wilder. He said, is Mary playing with loaded dice today? Because she keeps rolling 20s.
That's you.
Do I? I think you're the only one that agrees with me right now, Shane H. Wilder.
It's, it's
I'm not in the popular opinion court today.
All right. I am going to end the poll because I always forget to end the poll, but I did not forget today. That's 3 days in a row, I think. 791 votes, 95% say yes, free speech is free speech. 4% say nope, should have left him banned. One of those 4% is being Mary. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already? Please do that. Share this video with your friends. I would like to see this show get out, farther reach to everyone. So if you have a good time watching the show, share the segments, share the live episode so everyone can get a chance to watch it. We really appreciate it if you do that. Mary, let everyone know where they can find you.
Sure. You can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. I've recently received hate from a woman called Socialist Dog Mom because I had the gall to say that you shouldn't be thrown in prison for protesting the removal of monument nonviolently. So I guess...
Would that fall under free speech?
Yes, that would fall under free speech, but only because Mary is saying it.
Perfect. Okay.
I'm apparently a right-wing propagandist, according to Socialist Dog Mom. So I'll just be adding that to my resume.
Okay. Well, there you go. Right wing, Socialist Dog Mom. That was the name.
Yep.
Well, it is what it is. All right, guys. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter, not X, dead named Twitter, at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show, Pop Culture Crisis, is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New Pacific. Again, would you please like the videos and share them with your friends so that everyone can get a chance to see it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you'd like to listen to the audio version of the show, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter, not X, still Twitter, at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Later.